Okay, so here is my office space. We've got the essentials. So this is the desk layout. I've got my laptop. This is my main computer source. Here, I've got my monitor. The keyboards are actually usually the opposite way around. And my makeshift stand there. And then as you spin round, we've got my desk chair. Highly comfortable, which is always needed. And then in here, we've got my booth. I am lucky enough to have a carpenter as a husband, and he has actually made these panels for me. I can go into the design of those another day. But yeah, he's actually built all of this. I don't know if I can pull out enough. All of this for me. So this door actually closes so that I am fully enclosed, and I've got a curtain here which comes across, which is a stage curtain, a theatre curtain. And then yeah, this is my setup in here. So as you can see, this is what I see when I sit down. As I say, this keyboard is actually way too noisy. I am an absolute sucker. I love the sound of a typewriter. So I do have a very noisy keyboard. It's too noisy for in here. But I was doing some writing. So anything more than an email, and I switch the keyboards out. But yeah, so we've got my microphone set up here. So I have it at an angle, if you can see. So it's recording diagonally across or I'm speaking diagonally across its range. And then my monitor, which I would usually have, I use Audacity. So I would usually have Audacity on half the screen and the manuscript on the right side of the screen, or I would use my tablet and that would just be leaning here. So we've got pop shield mic, and that's going into Triton Fathead preamp, and that's going into my Behringer audio interface. I don't always, I used to use a Focusrite. I think I'm probably going to go back to the Focusrite. I need to do some testing with that. But yeah, this isn't actually, we've got some spare cables here because I had to replace the cable recently. It's the XLR cable. Got some lip balm, which is an essential. So yes, that is my booth. A very quick studio tour. I just wanted to run over a few things. So when I first started, I was using that, I think I actually had a condenser mic, but I quickly upgraded to the mic that I have now, which I think is a Shure MV7. This mic is really useful because not only does the sound quality is good, but it also can be set up in both the USB and the XLR setup. So when I first got it, I started with the USB setup, which is fine for like your first audiobooks on ACX, but if you're going to work with production houses, you probably will need to be in the XLR setting. So the USB setup is good for a few reasons. Firstly, on this mic, it actually sounds pretty good, given that usually when something does two things instead of one, it usually does them at a slightly lower quality. I actually don't think this mic struggles in any way with audio quality. The USB setup it sounds pretty good, but the USB setup is great for beginners and people just getting started, because that's really all you need is the mic, and it then plugs straight into your laptop. And then you just need software. Like I still use Audacity. Audacity is free. It has everything that I need, and I probably won't change unless something comes along for whatever reason and I have to. There's no reason for me to change. But yeah, so then I've switched over to the XLR version now. And as you could see, I had the Triton Fathead preamp, which is great. They work really well. It goes straight into my audio interface, and then my interface connects to my laptop. And what that does, the XLR just gives you that much more control over gain, and the preamp will allow even more gain on your voice without increasing the room tone or the noise floor, which is just basically a fancy way of saying the general sound of your room. So obviously there are certain levels that you don't want to go above. There are industry standards. ACX has, I think, is it 65 minus 65 decibels. So yeah, that covers pretty much everything. This is my little office that I've moved into now, but when I first started, I was in my wardrobe. If I can find a picture, I will insert it here, and that worked really well as well. So if you're just getting started or concerned that you don't have a whole room that you can dedicate to your workspace and build a permanent booth in there, there are different ways of getting around it. So a wardrobe or a closet works perfectly well because the clothes actually help deaden the sound, so you don't even need to move your clothes out really. But yeah, so you just need somewhere you can comfortably sit. You can treat the sound. That's the most important thing, I would say, even more so than having a really expensive mic. If you've got a really expensive mic, it's going to pick up everything. So sound treatment, I would say, is possibly the most important thing. So yeah, if you treat your space well, you're going to sound better. The mic has less to do. It's not going to pick up all the little things that you might not necessarily hear just because you're used to the sounds, but you will hear it when you record. Yeah, you want a space that's going to be quiet. You have some sort of control over the noise. So obviously you don't want to be with a wall like conjoined wall with the next door. You don't know what they're doing. The last thing you need is for them to start vacuuming halfway through your recording. There are certain sounds that you really don't have any control over, like car noise, plane noise. I live near an airport, something I never truly appreciated before I started recording. And then obviously, I'm not too bad here where I am. We live on a very quiet road, so there aren't too many cars going past. But lawnmowers. Summer is glorious because that room will turn into an absolute sweat box. And on top of that, even if, it's not too hot, everyone's going to start cutting their grass. So I do, during the summer, I do tend to record at night. I have been known this year so far to record overnight and just turn my day around. I don't recommend that. My recording ratio just plummeted, but it's fine. We got through it, and actually it was really enjoyable once I was used to the new hours. But yes, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to pop them in the comments down below, and I will do my best to answer anything I can. Any troubleshooting issues, because that's definitely something when you're setting up your booth. Troubleshooting any sounds like dirty power, things like that. Making sure your mic's not too close to another power source if it's picking up on the electrical noise. Lights. Initially, I had a dimmer on these lights. That was so noisy on the mic. So that got taken out and it was all fine. Also, another fun fact about this room, I'm all good to record as long as my bedroom light, my bedroom is next door. If my bedroom light is switched on, the big light, electrical noise all over it. So that's an interesting one, which luckily I was recording at the time. Otherwise, I don't know if I'd have been able to troubleshoot that one. I was recording and then my husband came up and flicked the light on. And obviously I could hear the noise then. So I knew straight away what caused that problem. Otherwise that could have been a fun one to try and troubleshoot. So that's all from me today, and I shall see you next time. Bye.